All right, third time's a charm. Can you cut the light off? All right, we're back for another week, another episode, another day,
Hey
another
everybody.
another blessing. I was trying to see how far I could go with that.
Okay, keep going.
All right, we're gonna keep going right into this podcast. Hopefully everybody has had a great last couple days, week, month so far into the month, or whenever you might be listening to this. Hopefully things are going your way, and what's not going your way, you're taking advantage of the opportunity to grow or change in some way. Um, that's gonna help you to get closer to the things that you want to see happen. You know, how you doing today?
Um, I am feeling, well, you didn't say how am I feeling. How am I doing? Um,
I think that encompasses feelings. It can. Just everybody's not gonna answer with feelings, but
I'm all right. I should really learn some new words.
yeah, I think you said that last week. So
Yeah, cuz saying
you gotta.
good and well, I mean, I really like those words, but I don't know that they're really speaking to actually how I'm doing. So it'd be nice to have some new vocabulary to really like express how I'm truly doing.
Understandable. I don't think you can fail with saying that you're good because I feel like it makes you think about if you are good or to what extent you're good, unless you're just saying it. But if you really are thinking before you speak, even if you choose to say you're good, I feel like if there's anything that's not good, that you'd be testing yourself or your spirit with that word. And then you can, whether you say it out loud or not, you can still deal with that, you know?
And that's a beautiful way to put it. But if I just had the right word, then I don't have to test it. It's because I already have the vocabulary to match exactly how I'm doing.
Yeah, but it's a moment. So it's like, you might not know. You might be, you want to say good, but then you actually are thinking about it in that moment. But I get what you're saying. Okay, so you said, all right.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Hmm.
I'm thankful. Um, you know, there's a lot of things happening in life, but I think the beauty of it is, just what we get to make of it, what I get to make of it, what I get to um learn and share with others and, you know, overcome um or even realize what has already been overcome. Kind of similar with the good thing. It's like, in my opinion, or from my perspective, um, I guess kind of like, excuse me, kind of like accepting that you're doing good, even if you don't feel like you are. Like,
Wow.
I mean, you don't have to scoff at my.
But no, seriously, how do you do that?
How do I do what?
Just let your spirit shine like that.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's not how do I do that. You ask me how I feel.
I know, but the
This is
answer
how I feel.
is like born out of that that flowing spiritual mindset heart.
Well, that's how you see it. Maybe it's that, but I'm just telling you how I feel. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I guess I'm thinking about it too, but it's still like part of it for me is just, I guess, just realizing that at the end of the day, I mean, there's plenty to be thankful for, and that's what I gotta focus on. But that doesn't mean, to ignore anything else. Like, I could say I'm tired, you know, a little bit more right now than maybe last time we did this. but I don't even know if that's true because it's always late when we do this. But, you know, did a little, some exercise type stuff today. So that might be affecting my physical, how I feel in that sense. But, I still feel like even in being tired, I can be reminded like, oh, this is doing benefit to my body. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's the same thing with our emotions. It's the same thing with our mind. It's the same thing with our maybe what we're being challenged with in life. I'm not saying it's always fun that it has to be that, but I actually heard something earlier that said I was actually flipping through random like radio stations, and I was more so looking for like talking segments, and it was this dude. It was kind of like, I think it was a spiritual station, but he was like basically to be, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically to be almost like unhappy is like to be learning, you know.
I agree.
And it was a pretty deep statement. So don't quote me on that, but I'm paraphrasing, but it was something to the tune of that. And that was interesting. But I feel like everything I'm kind of saying that lends that statement to being somewhat true, depending on how you want to look at it. What do you think about that?
I agree because I feel like that forces you to look at yourself, your circumstances, your environment, and ask yourself, one, why are you unhappy? And I guess, what can you learn from this unhappiness? So I think that's a true statement.
I mean, maybe in some ways we could replace the word unhappy with like, you know, any feeling that you might feel that might not be the most ideal. But I think in a nutshell, that was kind of what I got from it. Like to be unhappy is to be learning.
Wow.
Not to say like that we shouldn't strive for happiness, but like there are people who are just happy, but they we may be ignoring the things that we need to be taking head on and doing the things that aren't fun sometimes.
That's so tough though, because where is the part where is the part of fun and happiness?
I mean, it's relative though, because somebody else might even it might be that unhappiness might be somebody else's view of you, because that doesn't even mean that you're not overjoyed with how you know are going about dealing with these things in your life, and the reward is on the other side of it. But somebody else might be like that person. They never want to have fun.
Agreed.
They appear unhappy, but
Yeah.
it's like what does a student look like that's studying their behind off every day,
Mm-hmm.
waking up early, staying up late, you know, whether it's college, middle school, whatever it is, like they gonna look like so tired.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh, But on the other side of that, give it 10 years, they probably gonna be making more money. That doesn't mean everything, but they might have more options career wise. They might have more experience traveling and you know what I mean,
Yeah.
as a result of that hard work.
I mean, it's that statement is definitely a mindset to be adopted, I think, even to get the most out of something that causes you to be unhappy. Because without it, then it's just the emotion by itself. It's not an experience, it's not a learning process, it's not anything that you can. come out on the other side of. It's just I'm unhappy and you just want it to go away, but you never really find out how to make it go away because you don't see it as an opportunity to, gain something from it.
I think you know how the saying is like if somebody were to ask you something or if somebody were to say something, give their opinion about you or anybody, it's like, oh, I can't put my finger on it or I can't put my finger on what it is or whatever.
Mhm.
It's almost like the same thing with what you're kind of saying, in my opinion. It's like at some point you would have to like put your finger on what it is that is causing that, or you would have to choose how you're going to look at it. If not something just causing it, it's like choosing how to go about the feelings. Like, I want to get past this. I want to look at this differently. I would love to, I would love to be able to. You might not be able to just say I want to with the intention that you're going to, you know, or the confidence even. But you might be able to say I would love to, or I want to be able to, and that's still a start.
Yeah.
And you might from there learn how to manage, or cope like with that for starters.
Mhm.
But I think at some point you would have to choose how you're gonna go about it. Otherwise, it would just be the emotion. It's like, oh, I'm tired, and that's that. I guess I'm gonna just go to sleep and be lazy. But if I know I'm tired because, again, like I said, if I did some exercise type stuff today, then I know why I'm a little more tired,
Yes.
and I can choose to push through and not let that stop me when I decide to do it again,
Mhm.
you know, versus, again, just letting the tiredness consume me.
Yeah. I think the wanting to part of it though is really important because if you don't want to find out, um, then it's a lot harder. It seems like it'll become this big old tumbling weed
Well, go back. How do you want to? How do you get to that point?
of wanting to.
Yeah. Because you said, I don't know, you just said what you said, but how do you get to that point of wanting to? Regardless of it being important, like if somebody is gonna get there,
I would think it would start by you being sick and tired of your own mess. Maybe
how do you get there?
getting tired of just feeling that way.
But then would it do you just let the tired consume you? You get what I'm saying? Like, cause just because somebody gets tired of it, now they just might let that tired consume them. And what does that look like for them?
Getting tired of allowing tiredness to consume you. So you end up wanting
Does
to
that look
find
the
out.
same for everybody? So you're saying it's automatic though. You're saying there's a level of tired that kicks in and causes everybody to want to get untired.
No, I'm not saying
That
that.
might be true, but how we respond to that might look different though.
I'm saying somehow this desire to want to has to be born in order to get to the flip side of things.
Well, maybe there is no one way, but maybe there's some solutions, or some avenues. I mean, definitely exposure is one. Because if you don't even know why you want something,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense, like, what's the point of wanting it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but if you know why, like, oh, it comes with these things or this peace or this comfort or, these opportunities come with that, you might pursue getting out of that funk, I'll call it, to go down a path to where you can get something that you've been exposed to,
Yeah.
but so whether it's exposure from a person talking about it, because it could be simple or a suggestion, but I think somehow, some way, somehow, the thought maybe has to cross your mind, and then you have to choose that, you know. So that's why I say exposure. But the more opportunities you have to choose it, you're probably more likely to choose it.
I agree.
So
So I guess your environment really is important.
yeah, or your makeshift environment. You can make it up and cut on a video. You can go somewhere that may not be in your house or in your, you know, on your street, but you can still get there. It may be temporary, but you can get out of it what you can while you are there.
Yeah. Or the people that you're with. It plays a huge role. Um, because if you got people around you just saying things, I guess, that are counter to what you know
Mm-hmm.
is the I guess like the right direction for you to move in.
Mm-hmm.
Um and in this instance, if we are talking about, cultivating the right mentality and the right environment for something,
Mm-hmm.
then those people might not might need to take a little break.
So, question.
Yes.
It's kind of the opposite of that. But so, what do you think about asking people? And I mean people that are like close to you, but obviously you're still you. You're still an individual. What do you think? Excuse me. About basically getting other people's permission to live. Like, like you have to run everything by somebody else. Um, but almost like in a way where you want these people to like almost like a reality check, or you want these people or this person, it could be one person. You could do this in the mirror, of course, too, but that's different. Like when it's different, then it's the actual whole different person. You have no clue what they might say. Or you might know them well enough that you might be able to anticipate, but you still don't know for sure until you know, bring it to them. But it's like it could be anything. Like I wanna be a freaking, I wanna learn what's something cool to learn. I wanna learn how to canoe. And like you go to that person and they look at you like like you tripping. Like not cause you can't go canoe, but like I mean really to live. So I'm saying like something that you're trying to do this thing. And not just careers or hobbies. Like it could be anywhere on the spectrum of whatever. Um, but more so something that you wanna live in a way, I guess. Like you're like, I wanna make this, I wanna kinda embody this and they've known you. Like, what do you think about getting somebody else permission to live? I guess, but your accountability partner, not just anybody, like somebody who typically does hold you accountable or keep you kind of what's the word, like kind of like down to earth or whatever. Like I'm using the wrong phrase, but they keep you like level headed or whatever. Like
Grounded.
yeah, grounded, down to earth, grounded, level headed. I guess yeah.
I mean, you saying that makes me want to bust out laughing because why? Who we asking permission to live? Or- but when you add accountability partner, that puts a different twist on it because
Yeah, not just anybody.
they are somebody who, just has this insight to the kind of person that you want to be. But I guess at a certain point, I mean, even with an accountability partner, maybe there's still a line to be drawn because you as the individual still have to spearhead, your life. And I don't know, I mean, like you may learn things or experience things that will either test you or challenge you to grow and expand in ways that you yourself might not even know has a lot to do with who you are. So, what if those experiences or those ways of thinking or a certain, picking up another type of mentality that adds on to the one that you already have, but it is a mentality that you're picking up that you feel as though will benefit you as you continue to grow. Um, so again, what if those things are things that has a lot to do with what you want to do, who you want to be, and even though you have an accountability partner, they're more so there, I guess, to just make sure that or just kind of help you see through what you say you want. And is there a right to change what you want or see things differently? I mean, I think so. Um, so as far as getting permission or running it by them, sure. Does that take place 100% of the time? I don't know. I think it depends on what level you're at.
This is what takes place 100% of the time.
Running everything by your accountability partner.
Oh yeah, that wasn't the question. But you answered the question. But I'm just saying, what do you think about doing it at all? But if you run everything by them, obviously that might be impossible because at some point you have to live it.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, I guess like spontaneously you do it, but it does become to the point where I guess, like you just said, maybe you do it more and more often because you do feel like you need that person's validation, like for some reason. But I feel like at a certain point, it doesn't start off like that. You know what I mean? But it could become what you're saying though.
If it gets, I feel like there's something else then. Because then I feel like you're not making your own decisions. Are you even living your own life?
Exactly. But at the same time, it's like to just live your own life, which obviously sounds wild to assume that you would do anything otherwise, but to just live your own life versus like you do have other people that can see the areas maybe that you don't see from the outside perspective, or they can, like when somebody who sings in the shower versus somebody who is listening to the person singing. Like you want to be a singer, but like you got to put in some work if you're gonna be a singer. That might be the real honest answer, but the accountability answer might be like no, like that's not what are you doing? You know,
Mm,
you know. But the love answer would be like, I mean, you could do anything, but if you know that person's qualities or character to the extent that you know they're not going to work at it, the accountability answer would be that's not it
yeah.
to me. But and if I want to challenge that response that you gave me as you being my accountability partner, then I can challenge it. I have every right to go do what I want to do. But it's still like we would even I mean, we do bring stuff to other people all the time and seek validation. Honestly, we just don't think we're doing it, but we are looking for people's permission, in my opinion, with a lot of things that we do.
Why do we do that?
I mean, because I think we do think other people know better in a sense, like in regards to certain things. I'll say, I think that's what it is.
And that's why, I mean, I guess for one, you proposing it is interesting, but that's why I feel like, I mean, at a certain point, I mean, like, what life are we living? feel like our accountability partner is our reminder for somebody to help even challenge us to push, you know, harder or apply ourselves as best as we can towards the things that we want.
Or
Um,
it's just somebody you've known the longest who doesn't even know that they're an accountability partner because y'all never use that word.
it can be that too
Like
for
it look
sure.
different for you know what I mean, for everybody.
Yeah.
But like it's also, I guess what I'm trying to say too is almost like it's a more intentional, what do you think about this before I do this type of thing. Like we do that, but we almost do it to just see.
I feel like we only do that when we are unsure.
But I feel like sometimes we do it and we already have our mind made up, but we just do it just to see what the person's gonna say.
Maybe that's out of courtesy and conversation.
I don't think it's courtesy. I think that's out of your own, you being interested in what somebody else thinks.
Conversation.
Maybe.
Just so you could tell them you already got your mind made up.
But you having your mind made up doesn't mean that your emotions are made up about it.
That's true.
You still might lack the confidence. You still might be afraid. You still might be unsure, you know.
Yeah. And that's why it's kind of tough though, because I tell you sometimes I kind of think about just how we're all connected to just however many people we're all connected to in our own lives, yet we're individuals, and it's like we have to go on this individual journey, so to speak, with everybody else connected to us as well,
Yeah.
and just still, I don't know, it's just that like weird feeling of still having the right to go on your individual journey and explore and learn more about yourself, even with people being connected to you.
Yeah.
And that's a very like tough place to be in. Um, I would think, especially for anybody who probably can relate to what I'm saying, if they feel like, I think the easiest examples or most common examples are like people with kids or people who are.
Yeah, but not to cut you off, but at what point and is it ever a responsibility to those people though who are your accountability partners, quote unquote? Because this is not really about accountability partners, but obviously that's kind of the hat, I guess you could say, that those people, might be multiple, it might be one, are wearing, whether they know it or not. But like, what about the responsibility to those people? It could be your community, it could be your household, it could be your kids. You know what I mean? Your kids might not approve of certain things, but
Exactly.
I'm saying like, at what point is it a responsibility to them
It's a
as
responsibility.
opposed to just simply looking at it like I'm going down this journey with all these people connected?
I mean, it's a responsibility as soon as you accept it, that it is, because
So with that,
it just is.
so you're saying that you would need to check with them.
Mm, I mean, for some things, yeah, I don't know that it's like a 100% all the time thing, though.
You keep going to percentages.
Yeah.
I'm I'm saying I'm talking about certain elements of just what you are embodying, not maybe how you put your underwear on. Like,
I don't know if it's about checking in with them to get their approval, but I think it is right to let people know of the maybe change or journey like you wish to embark on. Maybe not just go on it and leave people in the dark to where they don't know you anymore. figuratively speaking, but I think maybe they do have the right to be let in. And I don't know, even saying that for me sounds like this sense of sounds more like everybody being entitled to know all the time. Like,
But you're saying everybody already told you, certain people,
well, those people,
so they're not entitled. Why are they certain people then? How would they? Who are they to you then if they don't?
they can be very important people, but I don't know. I just feel like life we're talking about here.
But so that's what I'm saying. Like at a certain point, kind of going back to what we said before about just putting your finger on maybe how you feel or choosing to move forward with that thought. It's like the same thing. Like at a certain point, these things have to be defined. Like if we don't define them, then you would at some point get down the path without letting those people know, and they wouldn't know who you are anymore, figuratively,
Yes.
if you don't define it, you know. And that doesn't mean, don't get me wrong, like stuff in life sometimes does more often than not, if not everything, spontaneously happen.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that doesn't mean like, because not everything goes according to plan, but if you plan things a certain way, you at least have a better idea of like how you would like for, these steps to go, or how you would like to manage these relationships, or how you would like to go about like bringing people in on certain decisions in your life, you know, or how you would like to even manage your feelings.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be like you don't know, you don't know what it's gonna look like. Like God forbid you wake up tired 7 days in a row, you might just quit everything. But if you decide previous to that happening or in the midst of that,
Mm-hmm.
this is how I'm gonna manage when this, and you get better at doing that, you know,
Yeah.
your response becomes more consistent. Same thing with the people, the relationships, and maybe the permission. Like your communication becomes more, you know, intentional or open with
Yes.
those people, and maybe as a result, like you become more sure about this journey or path that everybody's connected to, but you're on it by yourself. I don't know.
Easier said than done.
Of course. But to not put it in perspective is just to like go about it, and then you're like, yeah, is everybody entitled? And it's like now nobody's entitled because you didn't get anybody's permission, not even yourself. You didn't even give yourself a chance to think about if you wanted to bring who or what in. I'm just thinking through how we're kind of talking about it, but
Yeah, you see why I said at the beginning, needing a larger vocabulary. So when you run it by them, you know what you're talking about. Um, all jokes, but well, not everything we just said. But no, seriously, um, that's a great that's a great question. I think it's tough. And then maybe it's not tough, it's just not always so black and white, but I think that um those specific relationships, whatever they are, I mean, the more developed they become, um, I think maybe it is a lot easier to go through these kind of like different spaces or bring to those people, you know, what it is that is going on with you or what's happening. Um, because, I I think there's always levels of depth and transparency to be unlocked in, relationships, especially as we continue in like life experiences and whatnot.
but is it for the relationship? And you don't have to answer this, but just to make you think, and the listeners, like, is it for the relationship or is it for you? To say like there's things to be unlocked or levels to be unlocked, you know?
I
Cause,
think
cause if this is a path that you're going down, essentially, you are the one that has to walk the path. But if you're not, and if you are naturally connected to people, but you're not including those people, you
it's
know,
for you, definitely, first and foremost, and then other people. Mm,
and I guess the perspective, not that it has to be one or the other, but like, it's like if you're going to somebody for permission, quote unquote, about your own life, it's like, are you going to them like, oh, this is about the relationship? And it's like it can be, but it's like you're going there for about your stuff, not to just impress them, but for a real perspective, which obviously if they're gonna give you that and they do and you trust them and you know what I mean, like there is relationship or relational depth happening.
mm-hmm.
So to your point, but yeah.
It can be the case or not be the case.
Well, to the listeners, do you need another's or others' permission to live? Do you feel you need that? And obviously not just anybody and everybody, but closest people to you, um, and maybe the absolute closest people to you. Like, it might be a handful of people, one person, whatever. Um, and what does that look like? In what instances would you go to get permission? I don't just mean casual, like whatever idea, like, and you just throw it out there, but literally, if that person were to be like, yeah, no, it's like, do you take that answer and live by that, or you just go do what you want to do? You know,
Hmm.
I know it's relative in certain regards, but I mean more often than not, like, do you need others' permission to live?
Shouldn't.
Well, I want them to think about it.
Y'all think about it.
Hmm? I want us to think about it too. You shouldn't, but I don't know that that's just the answer though. That's why I'm throwing it out there because it sounds good to say, "Oh no, I should just live. This is my life." But like, if you've chosen or you believe God has chosen the right people to be around you, even or to be in your life, or to cross paths with you, like at a certain point, it's got to be more than just what you think. To your point of relationships and unlocking levels to that.
Yeah.
Like you have to trust them.
Wow, that's deep.
So I think we'll end on that note. But you can, if you got something for them. I
um
feel like I'm starting to sound like a gremlin.
yeah, no. You asked the listeners a great question, and I look forward to seeing their answers down below in the comments.
Yeah, ask your friends, family, accountability partners. Ask yourself too, because you might need your own permission. I don't think that's we're leaving that out, but I think it's even tougher when you can't anticipate what somebody else is gonna say. What another person might say, because you might be able to just tell yourself whatever you want to hear. We all can do that.
Yeah.
But the goal, I would think, though, is to get to the point where, like, we can even check with ourselves and know we can be honest with ourselves, too. I think that's a level to be unlocked.
It is.
Like, honestly, having a healthy relationship with yourself, with God, essentially.
Hmm. It's a whole nother topic.
Well, y'all have a good night. It's been great chatting.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Peace and love.
Peace.
He said that.